In this video, I'll be showcasing the Bridgeline Marketing product, which provides for the management of lead generation, nurture campaigns, automation flows, landing page creation, and more. So let's get started here. You can see that I'm logged into my dashboard, and it's basically presenting me with an aggregate of all the different assets that I have configured in the platform. So everything from my audience lists, I can see all the different audience lists that I have here. I can manage those lists from here. All my automation flows that I've set up, any email blasts, forms that I've created, as well as landing pages in the platform. To the right of that, you'll notice that we have an activity calendar. It gives me basically a snapshot of anything that's going on for any particular day, any automation flows that I have set up, as well as any email campaigns that I have scheduled to go out. In addition to that, I also have my total growth of my contacts over time, my average lead score, as well as flow conversions. Right. So within the automation flows, I'm able to increment the lead score based on the different actions that the user's taking with us. I can also define a flow conversion, right? So we allow the marketer to define what a conversion is in their world. Below that, we have the basically the activity for the email blasts, so all the different email campaigns that have been configured and have been sent out recently, basically the deliverability around those, in addition to the growth of our audience lists within the platform. Right, so you can see the highest performing audience lists, the contacts across all those lists, and ultimately the average lead score there. Below that, we have our activity performance over time for a duration of time here. I can change my duration out if I wanted to, and ultimately take a look at the top flows, email campaigns, and forms within the platform here. All right, and I have my interactive graphs. So that's a high-level overview of the dashboard. One of the most powerful features of our platform here is our automation flows. So I'll take a look at some of the existing flows that I've set up in the system already. So this is a flow that I've established for if a user fills out a form that's on a particular landing page, then we can do a whole series of reactions here. So you'll notice here within the flows we have our different actions and reactions that we can basically just drag and drop into this interface. And again, for this one, we have the scenario of a user filling out a form. The fact that they filled out that form, then we can follow up and send them an email, right? So we can browse for the different emails that we have configured in our asset library and specify, right, we want to send out that thank you for your interest email. We can also then, after that, send an internal notification to the salespeople or an individual contact. We can assign a contact attribute, so update the profile of this contact to specify the fact that, all right, this landing page is about disability insurance. We can update the profile and say, all right, this contact, this is their interest. We can also assign them to an audience list within the platform. Here's where we can assign the lead points. So the fact that they filled the form out, we can give them 10 points for that. Basically inform the sales team of the hotter leads that are engaging with us through the site. All right. And then ultimately we can then do a time delay. In this case, I've said, all right, let's wait a day, send another follow-up email. Right, I can just browse my email library here, find the appropriate email to send out again, depending on whatever we have in the platform here. Do another time delay, and then another follow-up email. So this is really an area where we can set up an ongoing cadence and nurture the relationship, maybe send some informative information, just staying top of mind with that lead, that prospect, to ultimately drive them to convert at the end of the day here. All right, so this is just one typical example. Another one could be if if a lead score is reached, right? If they've reached a lead score of maybe 50, then you want to inform the sales team and maybe segment them into a different audience list, a higher profile list. So all these different actions you can see here. If they've viewed a particular page, if they downloaded a specific asset, if they've signed in or registered on the site. These are all the different actions that the user can take with us. And the fact that they've taken these actions, then we can set up business rules to automatically respond and react to those actions. Right. So again, this is a very powerful part of our platform, allowing the marketers to establish all these business rules and automate a lot of that ongoing nurturing and cadence with their prospects. All right. So in addition to the automation flows, of course, we have email campaign management as well here. So we can take a look at some of the existing campaigns that we have set up in the system. I'll just go into an existing campaign here. I can open it in the email editor, And these are for campaigns that we want to send out, just one-off campaigns or recurring campaigns outside of the automation flows. If we wanted to, schedule these to go out on a regular basis, we can do that. You're seeing basically a layout here. I can go in and edit the content items, create new content, embed my images. Very similar to that content management experience that we saw earlier. Then we can take a look at basically assigning this email to go out to specific recipients, right? So in this case, maybe I want to specify, the people that filled out certain forms on the site. I can check these off basically and have those be defined as the different recipients. So these are all the different segments that we've created, and then there's underlying contacts within those segments. Once I've done that, then I can go ahead and save and schedule it out. Specify the date and time that this will be sent. I can also specify a recurrence if I want to send this on a weekly basis, maybe every Friday. I can have it end after a number of occurrences. I can send this to a recipient only once. I can check that off. So, if this is an ongoing growing list of contacts, it's basically it could be a welcome email, right? So if somebody's joined that audience list, and then every Friday we're going to send out an email to only the new contacts that have been added to that list. I can also specify whether or not to send the email to recipients that have engaged with us recently over the last certain number of days here. I can also specify to engage with those folks that have not interacted with us over that period of time. All right, so some nice settings here to configure your campaigns and send those out. And again, these are for more of those one-off campaigns or recurring campaigns outside of the automation flows. All right. In addition to the emails, we can then take a look at setting up the landing pages within the platform. So we'll take a look at, under assets here, we have the ability to build out landing pages. So very similar to our content management experience, where we can have web pages that we create. The only difference being within the landing pages, you don't really necessarily have a navigation structure. They can be hidden landing pages or landing pages that we drive traffic to from an email campaign, for example. So in this case, we've created this landing page, and we can manage, again, structured and unstructured content. Here's our banner at the top here. So if I want to go in here and edit some of this, I can go ahead and do that. I can change the contrast or positioning if I wanted to, right? Save that out, and then I can then go into manage freeform content as well. So in this case, if I want to change this content directly in line, again, I have my WYSIWYG editor, very similar to the content manager experience here. We also have our form builder available, so I can go ahead and edit the form, drag and drop any form elements into the form here. Again, our integration with CRM, so in this case we have native integration with Salesforce. If I drag and drop these fields, once they fill out the form, it'll synchronize that data with Salesforce and match that lead to the lead in Salesforce and update the profile. All right, so that covers the creation of landing pages. We also have the ability to manage audience segments and contacts. So let's take a look at that here. So the underlying contacts here, there's a whole contact repository where we can manage all of our contacts. We can drill into a particular contact and edit that contact and see all the contact attributes that are related to that profile. You can see here, here's their lead score that gets incremented over time. And this contact profile, this continues to build over time. So as they're filling out different forms, it's going to contribute data to this contact profile. We can also see the recent activity, basically a 360 view of that contact, right? So what they've done with us, the different actions that they've triggered in automation flows, the different emails that they've received, any audience lists that they've been assigned to. Okay, so once I have the contacts in the system, I can then segment my audiences and create different segments for not only sending out campaigns to, but when we're in the content management and managing our website, we can target content specifically to those different audiences. All right, so in this case, I've set up a few different audience lists for this scenario here. I have my disability insurance leads. You can see if I edit that list, we have different business rules that we can define. In this case, it's a dynamic list, so I can say, all right, if the user is interested in disability insurance, then of course add them to this list. Right, and there's a whole slew of different filter criteria here. You can see In a commerce type of scenario, if they've abandoned a cart, or if they've reached a certain number of orders, if they have a specific order size or purchased particular products, last purchase, last login, right? So those are all commerce related filters that can be applied. If they've been assigned a specific security level, or they've come from a certain contact source, if they filled out a certain form, then we can assign them to this audience segment as well. Right, so a whole different set of filter criteria to dynamically create your list within the platform. We also have this concept of static lists, where it's basically a one-time creation and import of contacts into the system, and it's basically the difference there is the dynamic list is always growing. Static list is once you do that initial import, use that same contact list going forward. And then there's our session-based list, where we can do things like geo-targeting based on location information, or also affiliates. Any affiliate traffic that's coming to the site, we can then segment those users into different audience segments and then target content to them based on that. All right, so if I want to navigate now back to my site editing experience, the way that we could take advantage of those audience segments, here's my home page on the site, right, on my website. Now I can tap into those audience segments and leverage my page variant creation here, right? So this is basically the anonymous view for the average user that comes in. We don't know anything about them, but if we want to target based on geography, for example, or if they had a particular product interest, this is basically how we target content. So in that scenario, for this audience segment that we have configured, I've gone in here and edited this version of the page, and basically included an additional content item at the bottom, right? So in this case, for any users that are browsing the site from New York, they can see an upcoming conference in New York here. So it's a very simple example that can apply to any of these content items in the platform. If I wanted to swap out this banner and make it more relevant to New York, I can of course do that. So any of those different audiences that we've established, those different segments, we're able to target to those segments however we see fit, right? So it really allows the marketer to tailor the messaging based on that relationship. All right, so that's my quick overview of our marketing products. I hope you found it informative. And again, any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thanks so much.